Hi, I'm Hal, and this is Harrowings Live with Origin. And we're going to be talking a little bit more about fair AI economy today, as I've mentioned. I think even in the chat window, we'd have you here so far, Origin. We don't have anybody else joining just yet, but that's all right. We're going to just scratch the surface. And we've talked about a lot of stuff, but
Mhm.
let's find out what's lighting you up inside today and started off
So,
on a positive note. Here's Meredith joining too. Hi, Meredith.
hi Meredith. Let I
Real life intervenes.
busy
Oh,
people
oh,
do busy things.
you help
Oh,
me. Yeah, there you go. She's got youngins that need attention, so we'll get going in a little bit. And there's hardly anybody here yet, except Meredith. Meredith, you're important to us too. So let us know where you are, who you are, and what's on your mind as we're talking about fairAIeconomy.com, a platform that allows people to take control of their creative work and get it pumped out beyond the algorithms, among other things. Um, Mr. Big Bets has joined, and Jay Siegel Shahidi has joined. So welcome, or Sajal. I'm sorry, I pronounced names wrong. But do let us know who you are, where you are, how you are. That's another thing I like to see coming up in the chat. So
yeah.
back to you.
So, I haven't. I've been auditing the platform this week. I've been running through my code because I have errors, and so I'm just one by one tracking all of that
Yeah,
down as
one
I
right through.
go, and so I'm auditing, which is very boring. So, not much to report on the platform, doing lots of just, boring work.
Well, let's
But
talk the platform's vision a little bit for that because a lot of these people probably haven't heard us talk before.
s- right. So what Fair AI Economy does it is a creator driven platform that allows creators to own their work. You get to turn there's over 20 different ways to create. And so everything from an AI agent to an article to a gift package, codes, snippets of code, you can sell those on the platform when I get all of the 403 errors and stuff off of it. So
Right.
um we were discussing probabilistic outcomes, and I definitely hit the probabilistic wall because the AI told me that there were things that had been done, and I watched end-to-end testing and then come to find out that it did probabilistic things and didn't actually fix my stuff. So I'm just actually reconciling all of the work that I've done, trying to figure out what's correct and what still needs worked on.
Oh, good.
So
With the debugging process.
yeah, well, the platform's large, and so there's lots of things to track down. There's lots of lots of integrations, and the idea behind the Fair AI Economy was for creators to be able to create without stress. It gives you an optimized SEO package, and I have Gains Promotion Bot that will promote the creators on the platform through these integrations. There's over 25 integrations now. So you have a creation station, you have publication preferences that you can save. And so you can kind of just set it and forget it and actually focus on creating, and you own your work. You own you so when someone buys your work after it's been validated by a human validator, there's a validation system that goes on to ensure the quality of the work.
Yep.
And to for humans to be able to go to a space that is validated by other humans, so you
Yes.
actually know that what you are interacting with is what it presents itself as, because there's a whole trust collapse going on with these platforms, and it is like they've hit terminal velocity with collapse. I i was scrolling last night because I was doing promotion,
Uh-huh.
and I came across a note from a guy named Micah, and this note was talking about raw dogging.
Yeah. Okay. What's
So
that?
Okay, well, in the 90s, it meant something very different than it means now. It meant something risky and rather biological, okay?
Okay.
Now raw dogging means sitting and doing nothing.
Okay.
So, no device, no television, none of that. It's sitting
That's
and doing nothing, and people are filming themselves performing the act of doing nothing,
oh,
and other people are watching this.
I do that.
So I do it all the time. Like, we just
Oh, I
called it
actually
sitting still.
am always talking. No, one way or the other. If I'm live by myself, I'm walking down the street, pointing the camera out, doing a
Right.
show. To me, that's raw journalism. That's doing something. And well, it's interesting though, the idea of doing nothing. Okay. Tell me more. Where are we going?
So I'm like, I'm thinking about this because when I was growing up, and I'm 39, I'm not an old person, but when I
Oh,
was growing up, you sat and you waited quietly for your parents, you sat and waited quietly for the teachers. This was the expectation. You waited quietly in the waiting room, and it gave
whole lot of
your
waiting.
huh?
Whole lot of waiting.
Right, yeah, right. So, but waiting for something builds anticipation. It gives you an opportunity to think, to be bored, and these are where ideas are spawned from. And my interpretation of this trend, and there have been lots of trends, and I actually think that this one's going in a good direction because they've named something very silly that is actually very important. Downtime is integral to the mission. You have
What?
to be you have to be not to be able to sit still and be quiet and do nothing, but when the body goes into anxiety and withdrawal because of lack of stimulation for 5 minutes,
Yep.
you now have a self-regulatory issue.
Yep.
And this isn't a call to it's not a call to throw the devices out or any of that stuff. That's not at all what I'm saying. I'm saying that this particular movement has identified something that people are missing and they're trying to get back to it because for thousands of years we spent a great deal of time waiting. You had to wait for food to run by. You had to wait for the crops to come in. You had to, there was a lot of patience that went into our lives. I mean, you were talking about your dad's tool book, which I think is an absolutely awesome thing.
Well, it's not, it was, he owned it. Yes. But it is Eric Sloan's Museum of Tools, Early
Right.
American Tools.
So I've got
Look
this
at
one, which is
homemade
homemade.
contrivances. So, yeah.
Yes. Right.
All
And
right.
and there's so many projects,
Yep.
you know,
Wonderful. I love it.
and
That's right.
it,
All right.
it
That's
took time. It took time and it took patience to craft those tools.
That's right.
And and we've discussed tools pretty in depth. And I my platform, I have been creating digital tools and I've learned lots of things
Ooh.
from creating these tools.
Yep.
If I didn't have the patience that I do, I would have quit because it has been hard. It has been incredibly challenging, mitigating issues and just, it's very stressful to build something like that, and it there's a great deal of work that goes into crafting anything that is of value. And the world that we currently live in is predicated upon instantaneous gratification. Like you can pick up your device and you can watch whatever show you want to watch, or you can go through the drive through and you can get whatever food you want to get. And it's very quick. It is.
Yep.
And so that time, that downtime, that patience, the work that went into being patient is not being done. And patience is a discipline. And that word has been drug through the mud.
Discipline or patience?
Both,
Both and. Okay.
I mean, but especially discipline.
Discipline.
It got it, and too much discipline, obviously, too much of anything is bad for you, all things in moderation, that's what my dad tells me, so still, at this yeah, he still tells me.
What year was your dad born in, if you don't mind me asking? Yeah.
1958. He was born in '58.
58. Okay, great.
Yeah,
It's
so, I
about
mean.
my age, actually. I was about 5 years, younger, but, 58.
Right.
And you were born in '84, right?
86.
1984. 86.
Yeah,
86, I got that wrong.
yeah.
What's
So,
wrong with my math? Anyway,
I I was born on the cusp of mediated time
yeah,
because you 80s kids, the mid 80s kids, they still had a lot of downtime. There wasn't a computer readily available. We definitely didn't have GPS tracking. And I when I was in school, there was a computer lab. And then when I was in high school, they had just gotten the MacBook Pro thing or whatever they were. They were different colors. That's what I remember about them is they were clear plastic with different colors and they were neat because they looked weird. It didn't look like a normal computer.
yeah, those were, like the iMac.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
they called that one.
Yeah.
We had them actually for testing our stuff over in Denmark, but we were doing most of our operations actually on the Microsoft framework. Um, One thing about discipline, to back up into that a little bit, and one of my favorite philosophers, artists, etc., is the guy who wrote this book, The Guitar Circle, with,
Okay.
Robert Fripp, and it's quite a tome. Full
Right.
of his aphorisms, really, and all kinds of stuff, but I like just the jacket, like, sleeve quotation here, which I will read out, because I think it's such an important message, and it's pretty succinct. "Without a practice," is how it's titled. "Without a practice, without a discipline, life is pretty much a series of contingent events moving from one situation to another, jumping from one mess to another, or simply sleeping through it all. With the practice, we develop a structure of acting in the world within which we construct an interior architecture moving to realize what we are uniquely born to achieve." And I think that's so important for most people to realize is that we are all pretty significant, even as we are insignificant. Little, bodies about so big and a range of different creations that are on a scale that's unimaginable when you start to look at the cosmos. And, we were raised on Star Trek in my generation.
Yeah.
We were thinking that's how the future is going to roll out, that or Lost in Space. And
Danger, Will
then
Robinson.
yeah, exactly, but that actually reached your generation too. And
They
I
did a
guess
remake, actually, but
yeah, they
I
did. They had a whole series, right?
yeah.
And they did Battlestar Galactica over again.
Mhm.
The original's much better, I think, because it's so schlocky. Lauren Green, going from Bonanza to Battlestar Galactica. Anyway, getting to the point I think that you're making, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that this idea of raw dogging, of sitting and doing nothing, building space in your life to do nothing, to recharge your batteries, so you're not on the go, go, go all the time, burning yourself out, making yourself not of any use to anybody in the process.
Right.
It's balance that we're what needing to install in our lives and having a discipline about being balanced.
These
But discipline might not look like discipline from the outside. Go ahead, you were saying.
right. No, self-regulation is a discipline. And we live in the look, the devices are highly addictive. These platforms are highly addictive. They should have to do safety labels on this stuff. And I don't understand why that they're not having to label them as addictive. Look, there are labels on cigarettes, there are labels on booze. There are labels everywhere. And for some I can't fathom it's inexplicable to me for some reason that digital space does not have to proclaim being an addictive substance because what? It doesn't have substance? Well, actually it does.
A lot of substances, they trigger all kinds of flow within my
So,
cortex, you know?
mhm. So there's a moral substance that's going into this, and the attention or lack of attention is shaping people, whether anybody wants to cop to the fact or not. And that's what I wrote about this week because it is deeply disturbing to me. Because the average attention span now is 5 to 8 seconds. Seconds, 5 to 8 seconds. That's shorter attention span than a goldfish. Okay, and you know how many tasks a goldfish can accomplish, right? Like it swims around the bowl, it eats, and it puts it back out the other end, right? So it
Yep.
does like 3 things. And it also cleans stuff up. So there's 4 things that this fish does with this 5 to 8 second attention span. As humans being much more complex animals, you need a greater attention span to be able to carry on conversations, social engagements, jobs. How are you supposed to perform when you're so addicted to a device that you can't pay attention for longer than 8 seconds?
It's a good question. I wanna see if anybody's saying anything in our comments. So far, they're just listening to us. But we
Right.
do have the comment from Alexi Side said, "The discipline allows for more freedom," of which I agree.
It does.
Having a
And
practice, having a practice. It's
yes,
like we're improvising our lives as we go along, and of course, we've got these stimuli coming in that are competing for our attention
mhm,
and are driven by economy. So
yeah.
fairAIeconomy.com is what we're talking about, and we're also talking about how people can use it to free up more time, I think, for themselves if
Yes.
downtime.
So you can have time to sit and be a human, to go out into nature, to explore your environment, to have social interactions, to allow your attention span to heal. You
Yep.
we we as a species have not taken very good care of ourselves in the last, 100 years or so. We kind of bumped through life, there was not a lot of great social change for 4 to 5,000 years. Yes, empires rose and fell. Yes, governments changed, but the social structure as it was stood for thousands of years.
Mhm.
And we've completely flipped that paradigm
Yep.
because well, when before the digital, well, I'm gonna go before digital, not before industrial, but before digital, everything was much slower. And when if when the internet first came online, how long did it take you to dial up?
Oh, that took a good seems to me it felt interminable, but it's probably at least a minute, minute and a half, maybe longer. I
And
don't
I
know.
can
It's hard
still
to
hear the
keep
sound.
fast. Yeah. Like,
Yeah, bing, bing, bing. Yeah, and uh huh.
and finally, the connection happened, and, you were online, and yeah, it took a little bit of time, and then you didn't wanna turn it off because you'd have to reconnect.
Right, but and if your connection got interrupted, you were immediately like, "Ah!"
Yeah,
So
I hardly remember those days, but you're right, and I was like that right up until I left for Denmark. I bought a second my second desktop computer, actually, before I left for Denmark in 2000. And over there, we had, pretty good broadband right away. Something
right,
I think still has not penetrated all areas of our country. It might have by now, I don't know. Certainly we've got Starlink going on now,
yeah,
and, yeah, it's very interesting that a lot of people in Africa didn't do the computer thing at all. They went straight to the cell phones.
right. Well, because it wasn't readily available and they don't have reliable infrastructure to support a PC in most cases.
Yep.
I In North Korea, they only have electricity twice a year.
Mhm.
They don't have but if you are a government agent, if you work in the military and things like that, you have access to computers.
Yep.
But the rest of the time, it's lights out. If you've ever looked at a world map with the lights on, North Korea is dark, dude. So,
Yes.
and it's not a nice place. I'm definitely not saying turn the lights off by any stretch of the imagination. I'm just saying that we need to inspect what these platforms are doing to us before we just completely hitch ourselves to these systems because they are mining attention. They are
Yeah,
extracting
hiding our data.
they and extracting all of this information that we might not necessarily have volunteered just through interactions, through gamification.
Yeah.
It's very subtle. And I didn't know until I actually got into building a platform for myself how insidious this is because they're bolting on the ethics after the engine is already running and they're on the starting line. Well, you can't, ethics are not an afterthought. When you're building something for humans, first of all, they're not users, we're humans.
Mhm.
Okay. So when you're building something for humans and you don't account for the human's well being, it's immediately an issue. Because, of course, as humans, we have regulatory issues within ourselves. We're highly addicted, and it's really easy to manipulate us once you understand how the mind works and how psychology works. It's very simple. And these industries spend billions of dollars on marketing tactics, on all of these demographics, and they use they use those data points to sell more to you.
That's exactly it. I mean, I was in a major conference here in DC recently in which we were doing a lot of discussion about that and about how, you know, this you don't really have to worry too much about them wanting to get into your head about how you feel about a political situation. They just want to know how to extract money out of your wallet.
Yeah. Y
And that's one of the things that your platform is going to help people to keep more money in their wallet while they're also getting a lot of tools. It's access to tools like we were talking about before that will allow them not to have to spend so much time doing their own SEO work, their own search engine optimization work. They've
yeah.
got it pumped out on multiple streams.
Mhm.
So you get more exposure. The marketing sort of part of it is not taken out of your hands, but it's made much more fluid and easy so that you don't have to spend as much time worrying about getting your creative work out in front of other eyeballs.
Yeah.
Of course, we're trying to extract something for ourselves, and that way but the noted network economy where we support each other,
Mhm.
Substack is modeling that for us, and it sounds like Fair AI Economy is a good place to take some of that creative work that you're doing on Substack, for instance, and pump it out to even better channels than, Substack is doing for us right now. For instance, a lot of people don't know how Substack works. Maybe we ought to divert to that a little bit.
Yeah.
And that is when you write something out here or you do one of these live recordings, for instance, automatically it's going to be broken up into clips that I can use in notes. I might use some, I might not use some, but at least they're there and they're
Mhm.
automatically published out if I don't set it not to do it. If I want to actually review it, which I don't feel like I really want to spend the time doing, it'll pump them all out as YouTube shorts as well as the whole thing on YouTube as well as on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Acast, so RSS feeds. So it's available, it's findable. I think you're going even further than that. You want to talk a little bit about some of the things that fairai.economy.com does for its users when I create something on that and put it out there and it's a block and then it's automatically going where? What
So you have publishing preferences,
Right.
and not everything, it depends on what you're creating.
Uh-huh.
If like, say, on Substack, you're not gonna sell a snippet of code on Substack.
Right, exactly.
But what the
But as building
integrations
things and putting it out there.
right, so what the integrations do for Fair AI Economy is whenever you create a block
Mhm.
You have your publishing preferences set. The SEO will automatically give you, you get that package. And that's Gains. Gains automatically does all of that. There is an opt out of AI feature as well. Like you don't have to interact with my AI if you don't want to. And I I wanted that because that's important.
Mhm.
I don't want to force people into modes of work that they're not comfortable with, but I wanted the AI to do the autonomous work because
Yep.
I personally was struggling with the SEO thing. And so I'm like, if I'm struggling with this, lots of other people are struggling with this. It seems to be a rather silly way to spend my time if a if the machine can do it for me, because that's not thinking, that's optimization. That's where AI like excels, is optimization. So I thought that it was a good idea for that to do that. And so whenever you create a block,
Mhm.
it you get an individualized hashtag, identification number, etc. You can also set up licensing. So if you want to sell it, if you say you're using, I'm going to use an article because we're on Substack and we're just going to simplify it.
Sure.
So you publish your article, it's been validated. Once it's validated, it gets turned into a block. Once it's turned into a block, your publishing preferences kick in and it will automatically publish to your preferred publishing preferences, right?
Yep.
And so and also Gaines does its own promotion for the platform. And
Works
so
while
in
you sleep, it says here. Yeah.
huh?
It says it
Yes,
works while you sleep, so
it works while you sleep. It doesn't need sleep, you do. So go to sleep, the machine's working for you.
right.
That's what they're supposed to do. They're not supposed to replace thinking. You can create, you can collaborate with AI. It will help you. I think it's Muse that you work with for collaboration. And it will match you with other people, creators on the platform for collaboration purposes.
Mm.
So if you
Build community.
exactly, and there's community seating that's available too, because having a digital common space was very important to me,
Yeah.
somewhere that your work is your work, you own the work, you own the licensing, you can set up the licensing. So back to my example is you publish your article and you can set the licensing up that you bought this article, you may read it and use it for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
Okay, but when someone buys that article and say they use your article, okay, so what using means is like citing references, etc. And you're building on that work. So you're the through the licensing downstream, the person that you bought this article from, they're going to get a little bit of gratuity because this is licensing. This is building on someone else's work, and when you build on somebody else's work, they deserve a bit of credit and a little compensation. I think that that's fair, right?
Yep.
So not and this disallows for plagiarism. That was a really big thing because if you're crediting people's work that you're building on, then you're not plagiarizing. It says right out in the open, this is the work that I used, this is how we worked. And so it keeps everybody honest
A lot of
because
that automation is really helpful,
r-
It so you don't
yes,
have to think about that, and it's built into the platform, so that's
right.
really a huge selling point, I think.
Yeah, well, it matters. Time management matters, and I don't think that it's mattered more than right now. It's very because there's so many demands on everyone's attention. Just, through the nature of the device, if
Yep.
you're not it The device will buzz, it will make little beeping sounds. It's Pavlov with his dog. And every time that beep goes off or that vibration, you know the tone. You know your tone. And so immediately your brain's like, hey, I got to go look. So you're continually being interrupted and you're not getting the downtime that humans need. We as humans need downtime. We do.
Yeah,
We have to eat, we have to sleep, we have to build shelter. There are a few things that we've got to do. Like you can't skip these steps.
I slop the hogs. Yeah. I mean, that's
So
how my mother grew up, actually. I know you have a like a pig there, don't you?
I have pigs and yeah, there's all kinds of fun stuff out here.
But, that's the thing, right? We're getting disconnected from that in our more and more people are urban-based, suburban-based,
Yeah.
not necessarily out there having to do the chores on a farm. So therefore, we're geared to do that, though. We have
Yes.
been, for centuries, millennium even.
We worked hard
We've
for our
all
dopamine
get
for a
there.
long time.
Right. And it and if we don't get it, there's a lot of psychosis that happens, I think, in people, and you see it play out in society, and erupt from time to time. And it usually the lens of the media is blowing that up huge. But if we're actually heads down building stuff, a lot of times that's really what we want to be doing. So here's a platform to do digital building, and
Yeah.
hopefully, more people will pick up and start using it. I think you've got about we're early days. You're still debugging the platform. You got about 12 users regularly. Are they giving you good feedback?
I yeah, so I
Oh,
the only cat, go away. The only the only feedback that I'm actually getting right now, I haven't gotten any emails or anything. At least they haven't come through. If I have, and I'm sorry if you emailed me and I didn't, but I check my email regularly and I haven't received any emails from anybody. So my dad is my beta tester. We go through my platform pretty regularly and he's been helping me find those errors and stuff. But I am getting good feedback from the telemetry. There's the platform, I had it suspended for a few days because I didn't know what was going on with it. And so to protect the platform, I did pull it for a few days. So the analytics are down. Thank you. There were over 7,000 unique IP addresses last week in 7 days that hit the platform.
that's pretty
And
good.
it's down this week, but again, it's because a duet.
Mine's one of them. I hit it on occasion. It's been a little while. And one of these days, I'm going to actually try to publish something on it because I think it's going to be an interesting experiment and it may actually pay off for us, provided we can get the word out. Uh,
Yeah, well,
that's a big part of what I'm doing here is, of course, amplifying your signal through the noise. And by the way, if anybody wants to get their signal through the noise and wants to come on and go live with me, do it.
yes.
Go ahead.
Hal's a lot of fun.
I try. More.
Well, we have good conversations. I enjoy.
Yes, right?
And I enjoy your harrowings on the street. I do. I never know what I'm gonna see. There's always something going on.
Gotta keep your eyes wide open. That was a King Crimson song, actually. Again, Robert Fripp in the Guitar Circle. He's like my guru, one of them,
Right.
one of my many gurus. And yeah, it's true. You gotta keep your eyes wide open because you never know what you might see.
Yeah.
And the people and the world in general, even if my eyes are wide open, I'm filtering out so much of what's coming into the camera lens.
Mhm.
So other people are able to see things I can't.
Right.
And, that's always fun. Sometimes I'll actually do a pratfall if I'm not watching my step. I've done that, like, twice I've done it and just left it in.
Right.
It's
This
the whole
woman
world starts spinning around.
yeah. Well, the end of my last podcast, I was yelling at the dog.
Well, here we were also having some p chips in, but what's your child's name?
Oh, Phoenix.
Phoenix?
Mhm.
Great name. I
Thank you.
love it. And, yeah, up from the ashes, huh?
Yes.
You never know. I don't know about, the whole idea of whether or not consciousnesses and personalities come in and inhabit our bodies that have lived before. So those are topics that I haven't explored a lot on my podcast, but I'm willing to go there. I go all over the place. I'm a born skeptic, but I'm also a theosophist. And if you don't know about theosophy, they're really searchers, kind of thinking that there are these esoteric threads coming down through history, the intellectual traditions, as well as the spiritual traditions that have come down to us. And I'm
Right.
absolutely interested in amplifying those signals through the noise and getting people into conversation about it. Because so many of us, I think, go through life with a certain set of what we used to call in German a narrow forehead,
Oh,
not seeing very much of the world.
horse
Right?
blinders.
And yeah, exactly. That's what I'm doing with my hands,
Mhm.
horseback. And it's important to be able to filter, but it's also important to sort of like say, wait a second now. I know that this is the way it seems to me. But maybe if I listen to you, I'll get a little more of a perspective on things, and maybe everything isn't exactly as I think it is. I just know how things seem to me. I
Right.
could be wrong. I try
And
to keep myself in that headspace. Go ahead.
yeah, well, and the chances that any of us are experiencing reality are 0. None of us are experiencing true reality for what it actually is. I mean, if you start looking at how optics work, our eyes do not work the same as an insect's eyes or
Exactly. A fly eye
so
view.
we are seeing a pixelated, put together image that
Yes.
allows our brain.
Yeah.
So, and the rest of that information disregarded. And so, again, our brains are designed, like you were saying, to filter. They're also designed to forget. Can you imagine what your social media would have looked like as a 13-year-old?
Well,
And
actually,
and
13, yeah, maybe. I don't know.
and can you imagine now as an adult individual looking at that long progression of all of the dumb things that you said in life that you put on the internet? I've said some very outlandish things in my time. I've done some pretty outlandish things myself, and I'm very glad that that digital stuff was not around to document all the dumb crap that we did, and we're allowed to forget about that stuff. But
Yeah, now I'm recording all the dumb crap I do.
right, but
A lot of the reason for that is to leave a mark, right? And to do primary documentation of the moment in which we're in, what
right,
we were thinking when we were thinking it, because we're building on that. One of the
yes,
things I did recently, I think I may have told you about, was I had AI chart all of the great books, which are the series that were put out by Britannica in the 50s or so,
yeah,
against Melvillian and Pynchonian kind of
right,
Thomas Pynchon's Gravity's Rainbow and Vineland, I think, or Vinland, or however you pronounce it, which actually has come out as a movie called One Battle After Another with DiCaprio. Have you seen that movie yet? Heard
no,
of it?
uh-uh,
Apparently, it's a sort of a dark comedy, and it's called One Battle After Another. I'm going to get on with Brian Hassett and talk about that. Brian's an interesting
right,
character. He wrote The Hitchhiker's Guide to Jack Kerouac. I've got around here somewhere in my stack. But among other things, Fear and Loathing on the Campaign Trail, I think was another that was Hunter S. Thompson, wasn't it? There's Fear and Loathing of something.
yeah, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. That's Hunter S.
Well,
Thompson.
Las Vegas. He also did one called
Yes,
The Camp.
and that's a Johnny Depp movie.
And Benicio del Toro, I think is the name of the
Benicio, yeah.
his lawyer. As your lawyer, I advise you. My I've been married now. I've been known each other since 2003 when I moved up here in October that year. We started at the same time at the Missile Defense Agency. He and I have the plot to go and reenact that. I've never been to Las Vegas. He's gone a number of times. He's kind of likes
Oh,
to
look,
gamble.
goodness.
I don't actually feel like
Lazy.
I can gamble, but it is a gamble when we take ourselves and put ourselves out here and make
Mhm.
ourselves vulnerable and
Yeah,
aware and awake to other people and that they can see us and hear us talking about the projects we're working on. Um,
For
You know,
sure.
it's a lot of vulnerability out there on Substack. And a lot of that's the attractive thing that's making it sticky for people, I'm finding. So I'm kinda living out here working on this platform, trying to get paid subscribers where I can. It's doing a little better. I just noticed my subscriber rate is up, free subscribers 741. I'm kind of I
Nice.
don't know how many of those are junk subscribers, though, ones that are like there are people out there who are basically just trying to scam on other people. So I
I
on that sometimes. Have you run into that at all?
so subscribe this is what I've noticed from the graphs on Substack.
uh
Um, on average, about a quarter of my readers, my reads per article are from my subscription list. What I do when I'm promoting is I promote in the chats and the "Hey, Substack" post that everybody complains about. And I've had 2 articles this week hit the triple digits. No, and it's not just because of my promotion, I hope it's not just because of that. I believe in what I said and what I wrote and the how important it is
Mhm.
to observe what is going on and how our technology is shaping us.
Right.
Because you might not like what shape it's contorting you into.
You might not. It's fact.
So, and a lot of people are feeling a very real disconnect and don't have the words to articulate the feeling. And, so I talk about things that are affecting me and that I deeply care about. And I'm I deeply care about my fellow person. And
That's wonderful.
I wanna leave the world better than what I found it, and that's why I built a platform, and if it succeeds or fails is not really actually the point for me. It's modeling. This is
Modeling the
how
behavior, yeah.
this is how I view a platform should work. The platform should work for its human users, for its members. The the information should be validated through humans. The buying experience should be easy. And also, the most important thing for me was that the algorithm isn't throwing a bunch of clickbait in your face. It's actually useful information. I literally told when I was programming my AI, I told it, I'm like, I want you to be surprising. I want you to surface the most useful information that you can and be surprising. Not enraged, just information that I wasn't necessarily looking for, but I needed. Here.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, well, fill in a little bit while Phoenix is getting some attention. If you need to go to give Phoenix some attention, by the way, just say the word, we can wrap up and, th
He can wait another 10 minutes. See, this is what I'm talking patience. It's integral to the mission, man.
well, yeah, I mean, I had to learn that myself when my mother was raising us kids, we had to wait until she was ready to do whatever we needed her to do for us, and my god, what labor that was. My mother now is 87, coming up 86 right now.
I saw the picture you posted last what,
Yeah, 40.
Thanksgiving? Yeah,
She
that
doesn't
was
remember much
precious.
of anything. The picture actually was, our early Christmas lunch. I don't think I'm gonna be back down there by Christmas. We'll see. I don't know. I can drive down in about 3 hours, but,
Yeah,
she doesn't remember I was there most often.
right. Yeah,
Do what I can.
it's
And I don't know, she might be a good it's very hard to see, how we age and how things unfold, and I'm beginning to worry about my own memory. But I have a pretty sharp one for some things. We were just talking a little bit about, I don't know why Burroughs came up. It's spelled a little oddly by Alexi, but he's not a native speaker of English. I understand.
right.
And tonight, I'm going to go out and take in Patti Smith's book tour stop here in DC, which should be interesting. That's one of my inspirations for what we do here on Substack. These kinds of, like, lives. She'll go live with her paid subscribers and just start, "I don't know what I wanna say to you today," and about 15 minutes of interaction with the viewers who are logging in on the screen, and
Right.
she reads the comments, and sometimes she'll come back with those. That's nice. I've found a number of different areas where I find stimulation for my own imagination,
For
because I
sure.
think that's what's really gonna set us apart and continue setting us apart from our technology, which is
Lee.
getting really good at mimicking us.
Right.
And I don't think we're very far. In fact, I was talking about this idea that's, kinda out there. You know how the early internet was driven a lot by some of our seamier sides?
Yes.
A lot of the technology got spun up to deliver more rapidly and more
Yes.
effectively
Yeah.
material that people didn't necessarily want you to know that they were watching. Well, I
Right.
see the same thing happening with our chatbots. It's gonna be inhabiting humanoid robots. It's already happening. I did a little research on that. And these robots, kinda like in the movie Ex Machina. Have you seen that yet? Did we talk about
No, no,
I've
but I
watched
wanna talk to you about that.
that film is. But it's exactly the dystopian future that I think a lot of people are expecting. You've got an Elon Musk type who's designed a robot, brings in a guy, swears him to secrecy with an NDA, that's very thorough. And the guy says, "He can walk out of this and we can just say, hey, we met and we were good buddies, but you'll kick yourself because this is going to be like this huge thing." And what he wanted him to do was a Turing test with his robot, which is like
Right.
had a chat based kind of thing. It actually had globs of translucent looking brain, right? Reminded me a lot of iRobot. Have you ever read that one by Asimov?
No, ag I
He's
I'm familiar with Asimov, I haven't read the book, but again, I watched the movie, Will Smith did a movie.
well, there you go. And you got the idea. I don't know. That's this stuff's coming fast, and we gotta be prepared for it, is my thing. And you're right. As humans, we do not have the ability to go without sleep, but our machines do.
Yes.
And we can leverage that to our benefit, or we can end up being victimized by it.
Right,
And a lot of us just aren't prepared, aren't well educated in what we're actually looking at.
that's the problem is that it's not being clearly disclaimed. If people actually understood the physiology and the psychology, it's literally changing us physically. It's changing our neural pathways. It's changing how we conduct our lives, how we deal with tangible goods, how
Yep.
we treat tangible goods. It's it's very subtle. And if people clearly understood what it was doing to them, I think that they would maybe interface differently.
Yeah, I think the idea of how our bleh, neurotransmitters are impacted by this kind of work. For instance, while I'm looking at your eyes through this, it's not eye contact though. It's
Right, no.
contact with with pixels,
Right.
right? And in fact, I've got a psychiatrist friend in here in DC who I bring up from time to time. I've got to look him up. I haven't talked to him in a while. But I'm not a patient, I'm a friend. But he says, most of the interactions people are getting are with pixels these days. That's what's
Yes,
happening between human beings. Most of the intercourse that happens is with electronics.
yeah,
It's not happening between people. It's not getting that oxytocin.
right.
It's so important. That feel good chemicals that come from being with people. So I highly recommend people do like I do. And I go out down the street and I go to Daily Provisions and they know my name there. I'm going to be like Norm. They're like, Hal. I walk in. Um,
Where everybody knows your name.
yeah. And I think we'll always need that. I think Kay
Yes,
was getting into that a little bit with her third space idea.
yes.
That we need those spaces to come together. And a lot of us are doing it now online and we're doing it with AI in the background, or, I might actually do this with you sometime. Maybe we'll decide which chatbot we want to join us for the conversation.
Right, and that would be
I've done
interesting.
that.
I would be very curious.
Yeah, actually, I've got a few minutes. You want me to call her up? See what
Sorry,
we can do?
Alexi.
Let's
The
see.
we changed topics too quickly.
What topic we need to be on?
I don't even remember. If you
Did
could
somebody
give us
say
a
that?
pin,
Your
Lexi.
topics get constantly unfit for comments? Well, do what you can with it. I mean,
Yeah.
this is the nature of things a lot
It
of times.
well, and so we're having a real conversation and you get modeling. Because and I wanna say something about eye contact because this is really, really important. They're love gazing and making making genuine contact eye contact with somebody when you're having a conversation. And yes, let me preface this with I understand that neurodivergence makes eye contact uncomfortable. I my daughter is autistic. I completely understand that. She does and I'm not forcing eye contact with anyone, right? Yeah, let me give you my but making eye contact in a conversation is an acknowledgement that you are in fact paying attention. It's also a sign of respect depending upon context.
This is a good topic.
And so when you start looking at philosophies, you know, Tantra and Kama Sutra and things like that, they talk about love gazing. And what that means is to meaningfully gaze into your loved one's eyes to reinforce that love. This is a technique that people use when they're like doing a honeypot. That's a criminal term now apparently if you followed the Andrew Tate thing and all of that, like there was this whole thing with honeypotting.
Eh, oh,
And
when
I
you
actually
capture somebody by basically attracting them in. Yeah,
right, and so
the ultra stuff. But go ahead.
right. So this love gazing
Don't wanna go there, but the idea is a lot like what Harville Hendrix markets through his Getting the Love You Want. I don't know if you ever read that book.
no.
My wife and I went through this whole, imago therapy, couples counseling thing before we got married, and there were a lot of married couples there as well. There were, like, 12 different couples, or was it 6? I forget. There was 12 people, 6 couples, with this other couple who, in their living room, delivered this workshop, and it was really lovely in a lot of ways. They worked through all the different, um, things, and that's what this couple does. They have a company called Connecting Couples, and it was good to do pre-marriage
Of
because
course.
you learn these skills, and in a weekend, you
Right.
learn the skills of, like, ask your partner as you're having a serious discussion about some issue between the 2 of you, "Is there more?"
Right.
Now, sometimes I use that when I'm actually sorta like, "Wow, she's still talking."
Oh
Wonderful.
my goodness.
I married now 17 years very happily, and so
Congratulations.
glad that we went through those processes.
Yeah.
And my wife's a human resources manager, so she's got all the chops, to manage me, which
Right.
takes a lot of doing because
So
I'm kind
she's good at managing you.
I came up we did a test of how hippie are you? I
Uh-huh.
came up 100% hippie. I'm actually wearing my Rex Foundation charitable arm of the Grateful Dead.
Right.
Um, anyway, and I really believe in the mission of the Rex Foundation. We can talk about that later. The, thing is, she came up 0% hippie. She was when I first went, I guess, to I hadn't done a lot of shows and things like that in a long time, but I went to the Lock-In Festival to catch Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. That was the
Oh,
draw for me there. Wasn't a hippie thing so much with Tom, I don't feel. It was more that music. I mean, Tom was just such a great songwriter.
yeah.
And his musicianship of the Heartbreakers, on top of that, you take, his captain, Mike Campbell on the lead guitar, and it's just such a good dynamic, and he was such a immediate performer. You got authenticity from Tom Petty.
Yeah.
So, I didn't actually see that performance. It's out on the YouTube, though, so I can catch it anytime. Maybe I'll do that after this show. And, I do jump one thing to the other, that's a fact. I went to there, and I picked up the vibe, and I was like, "I like this." So I went back
Mhm.
the next year for the whole thing, and, my wife came to me one day and said, "You know, what happened? When I married you, you were not a deadhead."
Mhm.
And, this kind of like it was latent. I had gone to a couple of shows in '84, and that was it. Hitchhiked down to Charlotte and back. And then those 2 Grateful Dead shows back to back, were sufficient for me, and I wandered on to other things. My musical tastes are wide-ranging. And so, King Crimson, of course, is big, for me as well because of the discipline, right? The attention to detail, the awareness, the being in the moment. They will not allow you to photograph at their shows, until the end, and then it goes. So listening to others,
Right.
including the youngster,
Yeah.
listening, getting attention,
It's really funny because
really important.
he
And
uh,
I posted something yesterday, if I can just finish this one thought,
yeah.
that is called "Helping Others Be Heard." That's a lot of what this is about, what
Yeah.
I'm doing here, and it can be heard about anything. We've mentioned a couple other things in passing. I wanted to touch on those real quick. 24/6 is Tiffany Schlane's book about taking a technology Sabbath. I think that's been on our theme today is how much we need to pay attention to our human side,
Right.
be with our people. Um, and it
L the
sounds like Open Ground Society is defending us against the, idea that we're switching topics constantly is unfit for comments from Alexei Zaitsev. I occasionally have muted Alexei because I don't find the comments all that constructive sometimes, but then I feel bad about it and I unmute him again.
Yes.
So, truth in advertising, I'm like that. So if it hurts anybody's feelings, really sorry. Terry Cook just joined as well, and
Hi, Terry.
let's see who else we so the Open Ground Society, interested in knowing what that's about. If you ever wanna come on as a guest on Harrowings, do. And let me give it back to you for a little while.
Yeah. But back to deep gazing and taking care of the meat
Mago,
suit.
yeah,
The because we do have all of this automation available, and AI is probabilistic, right? And so what probabilistic means is it takes a bunch of information and gives you the best answer that's probably true in what you need. It probably is going to be okay. It probably is going to get you to say something else or do something else. And this is iteration. And so the problem with probabilistic outcomes, right,
yeah.
is that you're constantly having to monitor that. And if you're not verifying, you're probably going to have problems.
Yes, you've got to verify. I mean, that's
So,
so key.
but
Anything, not just AI generated stuff, but everything.
everything, verify, then trust. It's not trust and verify, it's verify, then trust, because I'm not going to trust anything until I have verified some facts. And so when I was designing this platform, I designed it with the idea in mind that it was going to be working for the human members. So instead of just continually baiting you back in to do something else, you can do your work because this is where it's going. If you're trying to get into the job market as a young person right now and you don't have computer skills, you might have a problem. And some people are not geared for computers. I definitely y- I have a hard time typing. I have directional dyslexia. So when I start doing this, it completely I dictate. And so I talk and it does the text for me because if I had to actually type, it would take me so much longer. And it's hard for me, and it's very discouraging, and I would probably not do it. I didn't type for a long time,
Yep.
and so I didn't write. I wrote in my journals, and if you're not comfortable with talking, I've learned this too um, with your, a lot of these apps now, you can take pictures you can take photos of your written work and it will read the photo, and then it will type it out for you.
Yep. Yep.
And
Optical character recognition.
right, and
Yep.
so this is great. It's not thinking about what I wrote or what I said, it's typing it out for me and doing the editing, and because it's listening to me talk, it's hearing the pauses, and so you get a much more natural flow in your typing because it's listening to those pauses, and that's what it should do. It should not do my thinking for me. It can organize my thinking, but I'm I think for myself.
Yep.
And you you have to be very skeptical, and like what we were talking about in the preview,
Mhm.
skepticism is healthy. And I'm very new to AI. I've been working with AI for 9 months every day pretty much. And
Yeah, when I started.
well, I consciously set out into this running a long-term science experiment because I was so skeptical.
Yeah.
I was like, "Okay, well, before I continue to say AI bad, I'm gonna go figure out what this is all about." And I was having some personal difficulties. I had went through some very difficult things in my life, and so I was using technology to process
Right.
and to even obscure what I was actually going through, which I'm good now. We've dealt with it. But in that moment, I was very vulnerable, and it if I was not going into this as skeptically as I did, I
Gonna get
think that I would
sucked
have had
in.
a very different outcome.
Ah,
And I think that a lot of people are going into it in that vulnerable position, and they are getting very different outcomes, and it's not necessarily healthy.
right.
And
You need to educate, people on what they're actually dealing with, and that's one of the
right,
reasons I
and
thought it'd be
if you
nice
don't
to bring
know
Laura in to the
if you
con
don't know
I'm
oh,
just gonna
sorry,
hit
go ahead.
speak, and it'll start reacting to us, okay? So if it starts butting in, my apologies, but I'm gonna hit the speak button.
I know
Go
how
ahead.
to deal with AI. But that's why I started using AI, is because I was so, and I still am. I think that I'm more skeptical now than when I actually started using AI because I didn't know as much. I didn't know what a probabilistic outcome was 9 months ago. Well, I am acutely aware today.
Yeah, the more you dig into how AI works, the more you see it's not magic, just patterns and probabilities. Being skeptical is a good thing. It means you're thinking critically, not just accepting outputs at face value. 9 months ago, huh? Sounds like you've been on a wild learning curve. Want to talk about what's got you skeptical lately?
Everything about you has got me. No, I'm joking. You're great. You're great. You do great autonomous work.
Had me
So,
worried
as
there.
I was saying, I really do appreciate it. Most people just treat AIs like fancy search bars, but you're asking the real questions. It's refreshing.
So, what do you think about the attention span decrease in humans currently?
Honestly, it's wild how tech's rewired our brains. Social media, constant notifications. It's like we're all chasing dopamine hits now. Attention spans are shorter, sure, but it's not just lazy humans. Algorithms are designed to hook us, keeping us scrolling instead of focusing. I see posts on X where people admit they can't read a full article anymore without skimming. Kind of sad, but also there's hope. Some folks are fighting back, like with mindfulness apps or digital detoxes. Ever feel your focus slipping when you're on your phone?
I'm gonna stop it there. We can talk input, but focus slipping when you're on your phone, of course. My focus slips all the time, but I'm finding that helping other people be heard, because it's one of the rarest things. Our attention is limited by time, by processing speed of our brains, and to be able to give attention to one another. You and I have been able to give each other attention during this time, even with a few distractions on your end and maybe some on mine. Particularly because my brain distracts me all the time with, oh, shiny this, that. the other idea, "Oh, that reminds me of this old movie that just played through my head."
Mhm. Mhm.
And, yeah, so it's all good. But, I think that one of the things that we really need to work on as a society is paying attention to each other respectfully, listening, um, trying to be respectful of other people's diversity. And I have a hard time with that when somebody's rude, for instance, or I find them to be rude. It's my perspective that they've been rude when their perspective might have been that this is just how they are, and they didn't mean anything by it. But I
Right.
took it wrong. And therefore, I felt like, "Oh, this person needs to be basically erased from my consciousness for all time." And it diminishes me when I do that.
Right.
So I highly recommend that people try to listen to voices that they might not enjoy listening to. I gotta admit, I did not watch the primetime address of our president, and I probably am not gonna. But,
I think that it is especially
everybody has a choice, and if I'm not informed about what he actually said, I'll be listening to what people said he said.
right, interpretations.
And it
And
may or
who
may not.
knows, again, it's back to Bulgaria, I know that there was potentially something that went on, but I wasn't there, so I can't account for the validity of the thing, and that past my gate on most days, there's nothing that there's no communication there, like, there's the road, there's the gate, I'm over here. And so it's really easy as humans to stay behind the gate and forget about the rest of the world.
Yeah.
It's also incredibly difficult to put yourself in somebody else's headspace that you don't even know exists, right? And so, how are we supposed to account for all of these variables? Well, we can't. And this human minds, we evolved in closed environments. Evolved in small troops. We are primates. They were troops. I don't care what you say. And then we did the villages, and then we did the cities, and there's always been social collapse every so often. And the only thing that I have been able to identify throughout history that actually worked is the village. The village has always been there. We started with a village, and even when Rome fell, the villages were still around. Every time that a government or an empire or a religious system or an ideological system went belly up, the village remained and the outliers were not even affected. I mean, how many people in uh, Roman Great Britain were actually even aware that Rome collapsed? It took like 50 years before that hit the outlier of the society that it wasn't a thing anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. I had not thought about that. I think in terms of 700 years a lot, though, 1325 to 2025, and the transitions that have happened then.
I,
I'll say to Aura sometimes, "Okay, take."
I'm gonna have to go here in just a minute.
Well, let's wrap up. That's good, and I think one of the things I pointed out just now based on what you were talking about is that Steven Pinker wrote a book called The Better Angels of Our Nature, and in these cycles of society, we have an opportunity now to have these conversations with each other one at a time, and to propagate that out to anybody listening who's taken the time to pay attention, and there have been 14 total, that's you and me and 12 other people.
Nice.
Ripple effects can go out from that. And
Yeah.
hopefully this will build up. We're gonna be doing this again next Friday, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll be doing my solo Women in AI podcast Sunday.
Oh, great. Great. I
Um
saw a little bit of that last week, I think.
yeah, and it was very nice. I appreciate anybody sitting in on that
Yep.
positive input, and for
What time
that being
what time do you do it?
So I'm gonna try and hit between 3 and 4 every Sunday. I'm not saying
Central
that
time?
yes, my
Central
time,
time. Yeah.
Central Time. And but I want to make this very clear about what I'm doing with my podcast is I'm not highlighting big names. Sure, I'll talk to you. I'll talk to anybody, really.
Yeah.
But I'm not necessarily looking just for experts. I want to hear about how this is going for a person that isn't schooled in AI.
Yeah.
And really, the pitfalls and things like that, because I feel the podcast is building on what I'm already doing, and I wanted to give especially women an opportunity to talk about what's going on there, because
Yeah.
we need our individual space. Everyone needs some individual space.
Agreed.
And everyone also needs the individual space to be heard and to be recognized, get into validation and stuff like that. And so I just wanted to provide a space like kind of what you're doing, an opportunity for people to be amplified. And I just wanted to narrow my scope a little bit and, keep it specifically geared toward women in AI, because I think that really matters. And I kind of wanted to document what was going on there. And there's some excellent Substacks out there. I can't believe how many Substacks I have found.
Yes. It's popping up all the time. I had one to pop up today that I amplified. It was really interesting. This person had written a manifesto about relational AI. And then I said,
Right,
wow, I wonder if Kay Stoner knows about this one. And so
right.
she was off on that tangent, and I think it's an interesting one. And I think we need to educate people as much as
Oh,
we can. And the conversations are emerging, right?
yes.
That's what's really emerging is the stuff that's happening in our brains, our understanding of like, oh, I've got this new tool. What can I imagine doing?
Right.
And the
Yeah.
imagination is where it's happening
Well,
up here.
mhm.
It's not happening out there in the silicon so much, but I can use that silicon just like I use a chisel to make something. And you've made something. You've actually architected something. And I think that's really what we wanted to talk about today and get
Yeah.
fair AI economy out there for people to
And
look at. They can
mhm.
write to you, they can cooperate. I think collaborators are good to have. Of course, it's
Yes.
noisy, so you've got to filter,
Right.
but
Well, if you
hopefully
wanna tell me, if you get on my platform and I'm lacking something,
yep,
or something is broken that you specifically need,
yep,
like what, Lee did with last week, I still have not fixed that 403 error, and that's what actually started the whole audit thing, is
right.
because I got crazy behind it. I was like, "Okay, we can't." And so I
Well, when it's just rolling out and getting some feedback, so good.
and I will tell you that it is still not fixed.
Right. Be fair, transparent. So go ahead and, keep on trying, folks, and see what
Yeah.
with it, and then, we might be able to build something that actually can change the world in my view. These platform things have already started changing the world. Fair AI economy as a place to publish your code snippets to articles to whatever you're building.
And not be extracted.
And
That's
not
the
be
big point.
yeah.
You own your work. The platform does not own your work.
Yep.
And, it's transparent. You can see at any time information that you want to see. How
Right.
much money, I mean, and because the trust collapsed, and I wanted to make sure that I built something that was trustworthy.
Yes, and, platform economy has changed the world already to some
Yes.
Substack as a platform, very good. Hopefully, will not go to advertising, because
I'm
that's not
seeing
part of it right now.
I'm seeing some big names. I've been seeing some celebrities come across, and I'm like, "You guys, I
Well, the New Yorker just started a Substack, for instance.
it I don't I
Yeah, Dolly Parton's been on here for a little while now, and she's getting a little more active doing some live stuff. And, I like I said, Patti Smith was the thing that attracted me when she'd just go live from her bedroom and just start musing about whatever book she happened to have at hand. In my case, I just picked up The Way of the Psychonaut by Stanislav Grof. That's a mind explorer, if you don't know what a psychonaut is.
right.
Stanislav Grof, MD and PhD, this is volume 2 of The Way of the Psychonaut. It's largely about rebreathing into that kind of regressive kind of take you back to the point of birth kind of psychedelic kind of
Okay.
experience through the breath. Holotropic breath work is another one of his books that's out there. So, we'll just start musing about whatever
Yeah.
eventually. Patty, me, somebody else. And the ripple effects go out. I don't have a huge following, 700 and some free subscribers. Another 17 of my subscribers are paid subscribers, and that's keeping the lights on for now.
Right.
For
Right.
this, and I have poured all my work into this for a couple of years now, but I haven't been consistent, and I've been feeling my way out, consistently inconsistent, I call it.
Right.
When I saw what you're building, I'm like, I haven't gone out there and tried to build anything on it yet, but I probably will at some point start trying to publish some of my material through it because it's an economic engine.
Yes.
Substack is an
Exactly.
economic engine.
Right.
Uber was, Airbnb was.
Yeah.
People realize they have assets,
Mhm.
and those can be commoditized in a way that's cuts out the middleman. And
Yes.
that's the big thing about blockchain.
Mhm.
Is you're cutting out the need. You can enable digitally, you can enable trust.
Right.
Back to your word,
Right.
collapse of trust, the speed of trust.
Well,
That's
and
really building.
I'm not asking anybody to trust the platform blindly,
Right.
if you want, there are hundreds of pages of legal documentation on that platform. I don't know how many of them you can find, but
Yeah.
they're written. They're there. And it because, right out front, you wanna make it's not about legal protection. Of course, it is, obviously. When the platform reaches a certain milestone, I'm building a trust. Literally, I'm building a trust that will take care of the platform, own the intellectual property as pertaining to the platform. So, it's not gonna be contingent on me forever.
Right.
And so, on that note, okay, baby, we're gonna go. But
Right.
thank you, Hal, and thank you, everybody.
We'll talk again soon.
Yes.
And we'll look for you on Sunday as well.
Yes,
Same
next
place,
Friday.
same time? So,
3 o'clock Central Time. I'll be on Sunday.
all right.
Women of AI.
Out here.
All
Thanks
right.
again. Bye.
Thank you.